Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me again this week. I'm very excited because when I posted my video about, my PCOS and finding a mass within my uterus, I had so many people reaching out to me to tell me that for the first time they didn't feel alone. So many people do struggle with polycystic ovarian syndrome, but it isn't something that many people talk about. For some reason, when you talk about your uterus, people don't want to hear. I have had one time where I told someone I had PCOS. They wanted to know what it meant. And when I told them polycystic ovarian syndrome, they didn't want to hear anything more about it. So I get it. People aren't very open to the idea of talking about your ovaries or your uterus or the reproductive system in general. Saying that, I've had a lot of you also reach out to ask me questions about PCOS. Some of you are learning just recently that you do have it, and a lot of you are also trying to learn more about that. Before I get into the video, I do want to start by saying I am not a doctor. I am not medically trained whatsoever, so don't take my word for all of this. But I've had a lot of very common questions that I thought it would be nice for me to share what I do know, and all of this information is basically from me going through this journey and learning as I go along. I also want to say that there's information that I had before that is now kind of different. I'm going to answer some of the most frequently asked questions about polycystic ovarian syndrome. So to start, what is PCOS? So as mentioned before, PCOS is a short form for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now what that means is that there are cysts on your ovaries. So what are cysts? Cysts, as far as I'm aware, are basically little pockets or sacs filled with some type of liquid or mucus, sometimes air. The easiest way for me to start understanding that was when I was watching Dr. Pimple Popper and they were talking about removing cysts. What are the symptoms of PCOS? Now, not everyone has the same symptoms, or some people won't experience any symptoms. This is something I am going to do a full video on in the near future because I've had almost all of them. So some of the symptoms include missed or irregular periods. This is usually the most common indicator for people with PCOS. Excess body hair, weight gain, and again, that's usually in the stomach area. Acne around the chin, hair loss, infertility, enlarged ovaries or cysts on the ovaries. This is almost a guaranteed if you have PCOS. And I've also been told that high blood pressure is associated with PCOS. The other thing is mood swings, especially if your hormones are being totally transformed. Mood swings are very, very common. How can I lose weight with PCOS? Now, this is something that changes from person to person because now for me, what I've discovered was that cardio was the best thing for me. Now, I'm also struggling because I had the concussion, so I'm trying to balance that. But when I was sent to the hormone specialist, she told me that following a diet that is good for a diabetic is very common for people with PCOS. And that's because PCOS is sometimes insulin resistant, so cutting out carbs as much as possible is usually the best thing. Now, that being said, it is very, very challenging to lose weight with PCOS. And I can't stress enough, don't worry about the number on the scale, because there was one time where I was extremely healthy. My body was getting more toned, but the number on the scale was not going down. And I even had the doctor notice the change in my body. And even though this number on the scale didn't go down, she even said, don't worry about that. Focus on the fact that your body is changing in a positive way. So again, don't worry about the weight. Make sure you're just happy and comfortable within your own body. Is PCOS dangerous? PCOS in itself is not dangerous. So If you are diagnosed with PCOS, there is honestly nothing to worry about. The biggest thing with PCOS is managing the symptoms. Honestly, the most common scenario for those with PCOS is the inability to lose the weight around the stomach. That is the most dangerous part. So if you find a way to manage what you're eating, working out consistently, just taking care of your body, then you should be fine. But trust me, I know it is not easy. So I am there with you. Does birth control actually help with PCOS? Let me tell you, birth control honestly has been a lifesaver. Why? Because birth control was the only thing that actually made my periods consistent. The relief of knowing when it was coming and when it was going to end, I kid you not, that alone made my life so much easier and made me feel for the first time like I controlled what was happening within my body. I hated the missed periods or the heavy periods or everything. And again, I will go through all of this because this is something that really affected me a lot. But birth control was honestly the best thing for me. Honestly. And it drives me nuts when people say that they're against birth control, because if I was told, or I was in a community where I was told that birth control was bad for you or a sin, I wouldn't be able to function. So birth control is extremely necessary, yes, to prevent pregnancies, but also PCOS. If you're struggling with the irregular periods, get on birth control, because honestly, I couldn't imagine not being on it. What causes PCOS? This is a great question. The thing is, nobody knows. I have been told that there's a chance that the foods that we eat have a lot of additives within them that could potentially cause them. But at this point, nobody really knows. So it's not like if you do this or you do that, you won't have it. That's not the case. Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. But if someone in your family has PCOS, it's fairly common that you will also potentially have PCOS. There's nothing you can do to prevent it from coming, and there's nothing that you're doing that's causing it to happen. So don't worry about any of that. Is there a cure for PCOS? There is no cure. It's either you have it or you don't, and if you're diagnosed with it, unless it's causing a lot of harm to your body or it's growing at a rapid pace, there's not much they're going to do about it. I know some people have had surgery because of it, but usually because it's growing quickly. Now, for me, 3 years ago, I had a 3-centimeter cyst in my body. What they would do is just monitor it, and if it did grow at a rapid pace, then yes, they would jump in and say, let's try to get that out of there. If you are also having problems with infertility, and they realize that there's potentially a surgery they could do to help, then they would. But even if you have surgery to remove the cyst, that doesn't mean that another one won't grow back. The best thing to do is just find a way that works for you, that allows you to manage what's going on within your own body. In general, PCOS is nothing to be worried about. If you're diagnosed with it, welcome to the club. I don't have the answers, and to be honest, I don't know if many doctors have more answers. Don't feel discouraged with what's going on. Honestly, the hardest part are the symptoms, and if you're able to manage those symptoms, then it's fine. And trust me, I know that the symptoms are hard to manage, and I know that, they can make you feel insecure at times. And for those of you that have reached out telling me that you've been experiencing these things and have been feeling embarrassed or self-conscious or insecure about what's going on within your body, I get that. And honestly, the people that love you won't care about those things. So don't feel like you're alone. And if you want a community, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I don't have all the answers, but I'm there with you if you want to talk about what you're going through, because I know what it's like to feel like you're alone in this and not have answers to questions and feeling like it's controlling your life. But don't let it control you. You are living a beautiful life, and your life should not be controlled by this. Comment below if you do have any questions. Again, I don't know the answers, but I'll let you know what I've learned throughout my time of living with PCOS. And I will see you all again next week. I will be revealing my results next week, so make sure you join us. Bye!